Welcome everyone to the recap of the 7th round of the Prague Masters 2024. We are right now in the city of Prague and this is our hotel Don Giovanni, which is the venue of the tournament and also where the players stay. Today was a crucial round and we begin with the game of the overnight leader of the tournament, Nodirbek Abdusattorov. Now Nodirbek had lost to Pragnananda in the 6th round. So one would imagine that he would play a little bit carefully against Vincent Keymer, that too he had the black pieces. But turns out that the youngster came out all guns blazing. He played this very risky variation in the Queen's Gambit accepted with Knight C6. But he was so well prepared, and I think at some point when E5 was played, here it was important for Vincent to play D takes E6 en passant. But instead he just did not take that pawn, and then Nodirbek got his bishop out on d6, he castled, he brought his knight back to d7, he played f5. I mean, his game just was free-flowing from that moment onwards, and actually he kind of converted this slightly better position so beautifully. He got Vincent's king in the center, caught it, never let it go. And then the e4 pawn fell and the f2 pawn fell and h4 pawn fell, and like everything was just hanging, and Vincent Keymer lost. Nodirbek Abdusattorov managed to win, thereby reaching 5 points out of 7. Now those who were pursuing him were Pragnananda, Parham Maksudlu and Richard Rapport. What happened to each one of them? Let's first go to the game of Parham Maksudlu. Now Maksudlu was just half a point behind, and he was taking on half a point behind of Nodirbek, and he was taking on Vidit Gujarati. At some point Vidit could have played his pawn to f6 and have had a great position, but you know what Vidit did? Vidit played the move knight f6. Unbelievable mistake. And the thing is, it's not even easy to understand why this is a mistake. You need to pause the video and figure out why this is a mistake. White to play and win. The move is the very nice and stunning bishop c1. And you know, when bishop c1 was played, the queen is going to get trapped. Now Vidit thought that the bishop is coming to g5 and then going to take the knight and play g4, because if you play directly g4, knight takes g4 is still fine for black. So Vidit played the move h6, and this is where Maksudlu showed his true intentions. He played rook e4. Now after knight e4, rook e4. And now g4 is unstoppable, and the problem is this queen wants to escape via this diagonal, but the f-pawn cannot move because it's pinned. Insane, and Vidit was so upset with this. Of course, this has been his 3rd consecutive loss in the tournament. It's not an easy time for him. But Maksudlu once again showed what a tremendous player he is. And here is something very cool about Maksudlu. Later on, at the dinner, he came to me and asked if Vidit was fine or not. This is real, you know, it's not just about playing. It's also about the fact that these players are such good friends of each other, care for each other, and in the end, Maksudlu is now just half a point behind Nodirbek. He's still trying to catch him up. Another epic game today between Pragnananda and Gukesh. These two youngsters, whenever they fight each other, it's so much excitement. You know, we all feel like, wow, they are playing against each other. And today was no different. Pragg played this line with knight bd2. And then he gave up his light squared bishop, and I was like, man, in the Italian or the Rui Lopez, you never give that light squared bishop. But Pragg was like, I don't care. He moved his knight to h2. He brought his queen to f3. He put his knight on f5. He brought his other knight to g4. And we all thought, oh my God, he's attacking like crazy. This is something new that we are all learning. But Gukesh found this great defensive maneuvers with knight e8, knight d6. He tried to sort of cling on there, but Pragnananda found some great moves, and at some point he won a pawn. Gukesh won back the pawn, but it was clear that Pragnananda was always in the driver's seat. When the 40th move arrived, near to 40th move, we thought that now Pragnananda will manage to win, because he played this move with queen check on e4, then on f4, and then trade, and we reach the rook endgame where Pragg has 2 extra pawns here. Okay, he's just 1 pawn up, but 2 extra pawns. But you know what? When Gukesh played g5, I think Pragg had to go king f5. He went king g3 back, and then Gukesh played f5, and then the pawn started to roll, and unbelievably, Pragg could not make progress. And then at some moment, when Pragg played g3, Gukesh played h4, and look at these 5 pawns clumped against each other. Oh my god, what a game this was. And then he took gh4, g3, and then Pragg could not make progress, so he had to actually go up and then give up his queenside pawns, thereby having the f and h pawns. But Gukesh was so good with it, he just knew how to draw. He did not even flinch for even a second, and he managed to just draw the game without any difficulties. Wow, what a fight this was. I feel somehow in Vaikanze, where Gukesh was winning and the game ended in a draw, it was pretty similar. Yeah, Pragg was winning and now Gukesh managed to get it. So these two youngsters are neck and neck, you know. No one's letting the other one get ahead. We then come to our other leader, which is Richard Rapport. Now Richard was playing Thai Dai 1, and I think he really wanted to win today. And so, in this position, he could have just taken dc4, but the game was equal. So he played rook c1. What a big blunder this was. Try to pause the video and try to figure out how is it that black wins. C takes b3. And after rook takes c8, you play bishop b2, rook f8, king f8. And then rook b1, bishop a3. Rook takes b3, b4, and then the pawns move forward, a5, a4, and then you move your bishop away like b3, bishop comes back, bishop goes to e5, bishop moves into c3, and then Richard had to resign. Just simple as that. And with that, Richard will not be able to fight for the title. Yeah, it was a tough loss for him. The last game that we're coming to ended also today in a draw. This was between Bartel and Nawara. And I think there was only one critical moment where Nawara kept thinking here, and I was thinking he will play h6 and so on, but he went and snatched the pawn on a4. It was so risky because the a file was like the rook and the queen were opposite. But if you play bishop b3, which is maybe the best move, b5 would come. So actually there, he played the move knight a4, and then queens were traded, bishop a4, bishop e6, fe6, and then the position was equalized and the players did fight on for a long time, but the game ended in a draw. With this, the 7th round comes to an end, and we are now in a moment in the tournament where we have the biggest encounter in round 8, the penultimate round. Nodirbek Abdusataro, who is on 5 points, takes on Parham Maksudlu, who is on 4.5 points. And I think the one who will win in the 8th round will become the champion. At the same time, the other games are also very interesting. Pragnananda has 2 relatively easier pairings now. He will be facing, I think, Nawara and Bartel in the last 2 rounds, and there is a good chance that he might be able to score 2 points and maybe fight for the top spots. Who knows? But we will be bringing you all the action tomorrow at 3 p.m. over here and 7:30 p.m. IST in India. Stay tuned. This is Sagar Shah signing off along with Amruta Mokal, who's freezing in the cold right now. But look at Prague, it's so beautiful. The city has a tram going on, the bus here which is going on, and it's a city filled with life. If you want to visit a city in Europe which is like having this very modern feel with a rich history, architecture and all, Prague definitely has to be one of the places. And how about starting it off with the Prague International Chess Festival next year? For now, take care guys. Bye bye.